Where you gonna go when we start revolution? Whose side are you gonna be on?
Let me finish. I'll wait.
1968 was not just another year in Black American history. It was the year patients started dying in public. You look at that Chicago discussion and you can hear something breaking. Not buildings, not neighborhoods, trust, faith in the system, faith that America actually meant the things it kept preaching about, freedom and equality. The older generation in that room still believed America could be morally convinced. You hear ministers talking about restraint, peace, scripture, patience. They believed suffering with dignity would eventually touch the conscience of the country.
I'm Dave Dugan, and we've invited a cross-section of concerned citizens to a meeting in Chicago. Our question is this: will anything move the white man and mobilize the black man to end the domestic war and bring about a constructive peace? The place we've chosen to ask that question is Chicago.
My name is Russ. Walk the street. See those cars passing by? Want me to tell you why? They're the colors of the flag, blue and white. And the Gestapo keeps going by and by. Here are the young guys who we might say are the counterparts of the garbage cans. Yeah, that's right. Their little baby black soul brother eating out of a garbage can. But listen what they've got to say. Dr. King, Whitney Young, Roy Wilkins, Reverend Henry Mitchell, do you speak for them? Hell no.
And I'm just for violence, that's all. I'm tired of it.
Prayed too long.
I'm tired of it. We just beg and beg and beg, and he keeps saying no, 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 no. I'm tired of it.
The white man gave me everything now that he has deprived me of, my people of, for the past 400 years. I could still not forget the slavery that he has taken my people through for 310 years.
Then in other words, there's no compromise.
That's right. There has to be complete separation.
That's it.
Is this a school or a meat factory? Where a young man who wanted to learn about black history was told to go back to Africa. White principal, white vice principal, white counselors, black students, 1/4 of whom graduate. Gee, look at this beautiful black woman I'm talking to. Yeah, she's a college grad, a statistician, brilliant, articulate, but oh so revolutionary. Baseball diamonds are surely in the rough these days. Here they play while a dog dies in the alley. Rats eat cheese. They also eat babies. We say no more to the rats, and we say no more to you, white America. The die is cast. You shall pay for the past.
That's his neighborhood as he sees it. Mr. Meek, why do you suppose that it's actually been relatively cool in Chicago this summer? Is it because things are better in Chicago than other cities?
Well, first of all, the question of cool is relative, because what the white media and the white power structure means by cool means that on the surface they don't see anything. But there's revolutionary ferment in Chicago, perhaps more so than any other city.
Well, why hasn't it erupted, sir?
That's a question you might ask the white folks. See, because we don't go around advocating riots, we advocate revolution. And a revolution takes the form that's necessary for it to be victorious. See, you might ask Reverend Mitchell, because he has a vigilante force out there in our neighborhood, he says, patrolling the streets to keep the niggers quiet.
Well, Reverend Mitchell is here, and you did mention him in your film, too. I think we should right now go to Reverend Mitchell. You can stand, sir, if you'd like. It's easier, I think.
Yes. My name is Reverend Mitchell, president of the North Star United Missionary Workers of America on the Chicago West Side. The Bible says, let every man be persuaded by his own opinion, but though let it be a good one. We realize and understand that there are problems amongst the Negro community more so than any other community. The aim of our organization is to sit down and study the problem and take the proper approach to try and solve the problem.
For those from out of town, sir, could we just quickly clarify what your committee does? Do you work in the same neighborhood that Mr. Meek lives in,
yes,
the West Side?
West Side, national-wide. We own the entire state of Illinois.
Would you have a different program than, say, Mr. Meek does?
Well, our program is not hate.
It is not hate?
No, sir. Our program is to try to solve the problem with love.
This boy back here?
Yeah.
Well, that looks like the boy that was in the film, I believe.
Yes, I'm one of them. My name is Reginald Dobbs. I live at 3319 Maple. one of the ghettos areas that was pointed out in the film. I'd like to direct a question to Reverend Mitchell. Do you think that we will be satisfied with the jobs they are giving us?
Yes, son, I think so, simply because we are asking that you be trained on the job, and they start you off with a certain salary starting rates, and you would be promoted up to the maximum of the job.
No, I don't believe that. The white man is going to keep you where he got you. You're not going no higher than he wants you to go. And we ain't going to settle for nothing but all the way. And about this violence and non-violence, I'm for violence, because we have pleaded for the last 400 years.
What would you say to a young boy like that? Because this happens to be, coincidentally, the young man in the group that Mr. Meek said you did not speak for. How would you talk to a young boy like that?
Well, I would say I would definitely have to use the Bible, Mr. Duncan.
No, I don't want to hear that.
Well, this is my only way.
I ain't no Uncle Tom.
Well, salvation
you
is
can't
free,
brainwash me.
Jesus said, first ye seek the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness, and all of these things will be added unto you.
Heaven is on earth, mind you, brother.
Yeah. Let me see.
You have anything more? How about the other lad?
Where you gonna go when we start revolution? Whose side are you gonna be on? Are you still gonna be on your knees begging for us jobs?
The white peoples realized today that they was wrong for enslaving the Negro. The great mass. May I finish? I'll wait. Why, if you so militant and so intelligent, why don't you keep your mouth shut?
I'll tell you why, Reverend Mitchell, because I'm sick and tired of you standing up there on a television camera, a black man with a white heart and a white face. You're a black Anglo-Saxon, you're a disgrace to the race to stand up about a white man loving you. Ask Medgar Evers' wife. Ask the parents of the 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi. Ask Jimmy Lee Jackson's mother. Understand? Ask Grace Louise's 5 children who were shot in the head because he's riding with a black boy in the car. You stand there and talk like an unmitigated fool.
I thought you were more intelligent.
I'm intelligent enough that I don't want to listen to your dribble.
May I finish, young man question? Son, I'm sure that the great mass of the white people realizes that they was wrong for enslaving the Negro.
Let's get this lady back here.
My name is Jean Williams, and I'm a civil rights lawyer. What has kept Chicago from erupting has been the open suppression and Gestapo-like tactics that the Chicago policemen have initiated in the black neighborhoods. Wherever there are 5 or more Negroes congregated, they move in, they break up those groups. I know what I'm talking about. They break up those groups and they shuttle everybody off to jail. Now, sooner or later, there are going to be enough families deprived of their breadwinners and their loved ones that Chicago isn't going to be cool, regardless of how much praying Reverend Mitchell does.
We have a Chicago police official here, Chicago police commander, to respond to the charge about police repression in Chicago this summer. Is there an official of the Chicago Police Department who could answer that? You're not to give comment, sir. I see. Well, let him make his one statement. That's all right. Fine. Go ahead, son.
As I was going back to see, he pointed out for me that I could go back when I want to. Go back to where? Huh?
Because you weren't afraid. You can go any place you like.
Go anywhere
Sir,
you
could
want.
you stand up? We can't hear you. Could you stand up over there by the microphone?
You mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? Do you mean to Africa? We are not Africans no more. You have raped our great-grandmothers and stuff and changed us.
Excuse me.
We are not, okay, let me finish, and gave us a name as a Negro. I am not a Negro. A Negro is a person with a slave at the man. I just want to tell you that. And don't say nothing else to me.
Sir, did you want to say something, miss? Okay, this lady back here, please.
I would like to direct one of my...
Your name, please?
Mrs. Fiedler of the East Avondale Community Council, a branch of LSNA. Mr. Meek, I recognized much of your film. Is this the 3100 block of Maple?
33 and 32.
Fine. 32 was where I was raised. Looks quite familiar as it did when I lived there. Marshall School still looks the same also. And there was more than 75% colored when I went there. You know, we got along great. Some of
best friend.
All of us got along together very well. I recall very few colored and whites fighting. We were friends. When there was any arguments or fights, as there usually is, as you call it, the ghetto, we seemed to stick together. The colored stuck up for the white, and the white stuck up for the colored.
Well, they couldn't have a time like I have. They'd have to be all the time.
Well, what is your point,
No,
ma'am? Do you feel that the...
I arose
Yes.
from this neighborhood. I lived in the slums. I'm not ashamed of it. You know, nobody helped me get where I'm at. I scrub floors. I scrub floors. It doesn't make any difference. The friends that I graduated with have jobs and homes just as I have now. And they were colored. And they had a chance. They sat right next to me in class. The teacher listened to them just like she listened to me. And it was that same house that you showed me on that film. So then, I am as the same as these boys here. Because I seen little white kids as well as colored kids together digging out of garbage cans. Not separately. Together, we walked the alley. We walked Madison Street. We tripped over probably the same drunks in front of Rothschilds that are still there now. So what about me? Am I a poor white person? God help me, give me mercy. I want white power then.
I'm sure you do, and you should have it, baby.
What
You
about
got it.
Broadway? What about Clark Street? What about Wilson Avenue?
Well, you want to let me address
where
myself,
the
too?
ignorant white people are.
What about them?
We
They
have
got
a
their own
problem,
problems,
too.
lady, and I think that the white
Okay.
people should have white power. I'm talking about black. You see, talking to you is an exercise in futility. Let's get this clear. I'm not talking about white people. Man, you solve your problems. You use force or violence, whatever necessary,
No,
and I
you
don't
don't.
blame you. And if I had the thing you had, I wouldn't want to give it up either.
Do we come and march and you say, look at our poor people, look at our hungry
No,
babies?
you don't have to come because we can't solve your problem. You have to
right.
solve your own, and we want to solve our own.
By
Understand?
violence?
Who said anything about violence? Everybody here is talking about violence, but
He
Russ
said
me.
he believes in violence. I want to
Doesn't
know
he have a
why.
right to? They're going to take him in a few years and teach him to kill with the best weapons
They
available.
taught my brother to kill, too.
Okay, so let's
And
ask the United States government about violence, baby. They live on it. They thrive on it. They're enmeshed in it. This is the most violent society in the world that you run, baby.
Why is
You
there so
hung
many
black men
Americans?
up by their heads and cut their bodies to pieces. You burn women
you
to
see
death.
him?
Yes, I got the pictures on my wall. I was tied to a tree by the Klan and had a knife run through my body.
You never seen white people
See.
killed, though.
White people, I'm not worried about them.
Fifth Avenue and Kedzie and I watched them die in front of me.
That's tough.
As a kid.
That's tough. That's tough, but we're talking about black power, black society,
That's all we hear.
divorce
So
from
you
white
wanna hear
society.
somebody else's
You were
side.
here at a town meeting. Well, go home if you don't want to hear, baby. Go home.
wanna hear
Because we don't need you.
You don't want to hear us, then you go.
No.
Well, let the lady speak, because Mr. Meek is a little louder in his voice. I think this is a very interesting point, and it's an amazing coincidence that you did live in that immediate area, because we had no idea that was going to be the...
Exactly. That street,
Do you
that
still live
block.
in the area?
No, I don't.
And your
It looked just like that when I did, though.
Sure.
And Beidler School. Do you know Beidler School there,
Yeah, I
Mr.
know
Meek?
Beidler School. You
could move
Do you know
wherever
the
you
old
want.
school?
Yeah, I
The
know
old
those.
one with the wooden floors.
Yeah.
I walked on them. There's a new
Well,
school
you want a
there now,
medal?
isn't there?
You want a medal
I didn't
something,
get no
baby?
new schools, but
You
I'm
want a
not
medal?
complaining.
Give it a CMH.
Let's let her
She's
say-
a poor white person.
Hold it, Mr. Meek.
You're the one that's crying the loudest.
Who's
I'm
crying,
trying
baby?
to
I'm
deal
not
with it.
crying.
I'm
Do
trying
you know
to
the difference between defiance and a cry? You're talking to a black man, baby. I don't cry to white
I
folks.
talk to 'em all
I'm
my
talking to my
life.
people, not even to
I
you.
talk to them all
Hold
my
it, Mr.
life.
Meek.
You're singing the
Hold it,
blues.
But
hold it,
you're
hold it.
blaming us. We got a right to
Blaming
stand
you?
up and defend ourselves.
Defend
too.
yourself. I glory in your
All
spunk,
right, now let her,
baby.
hold it, Mr. Meek.
Well, wipe the blood off your hands
Hold
before
it.
you
There's
slam.
no
Hold it.
blood on mine.
All right, all right, ma'am.
You got the pictures. I haven't.
All right, hold it,
Yeah,
folks.
No,
the
I'm
conscience is
not
bothering
guilty
you.
of
Ma'am, I'd
nothing.
like to let you say this very succinctly.
Are
You're-
we wrong because we're white?
Yeah,
Are we wrong?
yeah.
Well, then maybe the shoe's on the other foot now.
Well, your men seem to like our women so much we get a little confused.
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
All right, we're going.
Yeah.
I will in a second, but I just want to clarify this. Your point simply is this, ma'am. You believe that when you lived in the neighborhood where Mr. Meek
Yes.
does, there were 75% Negro then, and you say that the friends that you went to school with, as well as yourself, worked their way out of the ghetto.
That's right.
And you believe that anybody can do it if they want to?
That's right. That's ridiculous.
All right, let's let this gentleman back here. Here. Here's a... Let's...
Mrs. Williams, Miss Williams,
All right,
I
we
think
have one
white
man
people
here.
have to talk to white people and tell them why they're wrong.
Here's a white
I
man.
think,
Let's let him
like,
say
white
this.
people have to tell some ignorant white people that they should start listening to Russell Meek and Gene Williams and Dick Gregory and Bob Lucas. And I'd like to ask this woman if she honestly believes there isn't segregation in Chicago, and if she's been to the schools. I teach in the West Side. My name's Richard Kelly. I teach in Upper Grade Center in the West Side. And next year, conditions are worse than last year. I have 39 in the class where I had 35. We have a white principal, white assistant principal. The Negroes that teach our school are afraid to open their mouth because they're afraid that they're going to lose their job, their times. There's a lot of segregation, not only in the house. You can go in the different neighborhoods. Ma'am, I don't see how you can sit here and dare to talk to Russ Meek and say there isn't segregation in Chicago.
The whole thing comes down...
Identify yourself, please.
Elmer Lazar, Chicago, Illinois. The whole thing...
Are you with an association, an organization?
No, just individual.
Right. Go ahead.
The whole thing here comes down to education, rather lack of education. Now, to prove this to you, I was an employment manager of a firm that employed dozens of Negroes 5, 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. And we were looking for a truck driver several times, not just once, dozens of times. We used to interview colored fellows that come in, you know, from 18 to 30, any age. And out of 25 colored fellows that came in to apply for the job, only 3 or 4 could talk, could read and write English. 3 or 4. Now, these were newly come Southerners from the South, see. And only out of 25 fellows that we interviewed, only 3 or 4 could read and write. Back in 1950, 1952, 53, 54, 55.
So your point is?
What can you do with the people that they sent from the South that can't read and write? What can you do with people that have no education? Now, well, we have to educate. The South should not be allowed to send these colored people up here. Rather, they should educate them. They should educate them, see? That's the point.
How about this gentleman in the front row? Would you identify yourself, sir?
I'm Reverend Emmett G. Davis, the Executive Director of the North Suburban Organization for Fair Housing. There are a couple of points that I want to speak to, particularly to get back to originally the way we started out.
Yes.
We're caught now in this trap between whether we're going to follow Dr. Martin Luther King with a nonviolent approach or whether we're going to follow my friend Russ Meeks here with a violent approach. We're at a loss to know what to do. We tried Dr. King. We're afraid to try Meeks.
Are you afraid to try Meeks? You're afraid to try Meeks?
Some of the people on the North Shore are afraid. They've gotten a little sophistication because they've been able to move to the North Shore.
Are these Negroes you're talking about?
Negroes, yes.
Middle-class Negroes.
They've been calling the police department in Evanston, hoping there's not going to be a riot in Evanston. They are afraid, too. Now, how do you reach these kind of people?
Well, you feel
I wish Mr. Meeks could tell us this.
The middle-class Negroes...
The middle-class Negroes who have become complacent, who fear the revolutionary lower to lower economic class Negroes.
Well, Mr. Meek, you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I'd like to respond because I think that you sound like a reverend. Thank goodness there's some people like you left. I might even come to your church one day and see what you have to say. Man, whew, what a breath of fresh air. I want to say this because, see, first of all, there's a mistaken notion. The Watts study, which they just brought out, proved that the middle-class black man is much more violent than the so-called lower strata.
Well, that differs from what he was saying.
Well, you see, when you talk about people in North Shore, see, here's the point, which, I'm talking to black folk now, you know, that no matter what happens, the dialectics of the situation are going to make you either get off the fence or crawl in a hole in the ground. It is the ability to take your own resources and develop a culture, a society, a community of our own, the way we want it, free from white interference. And we give you the same privilege. We're not interested in interracial housing. We don't want your neighborhood. We want ours to be just as good, see? We don't want a store in your neighborhood. We don't want you coming in our neighborhood and open up stores and exploiting us and then go home and throw a bomb if we move next door out in the suburbs. We don't want your schools, but we want our schools to be the highest and the best possible for our black progeny. See, what people don't understand, we are saying, and we're not asking. You see, the die is cast, as I said. We're not asking. We're saying this is the way it's going to be.
Well, Mr. Meek, why do you feel, as an example, just to zero in on this, why do you personally feel that Martin Luther King's way is not the way to work?
Well, it's very simple to me, because it hasn't worked.
He's talking about new techniques, tying up the city.
You don't tie up no city. You don't tie up a city. There's no such thing as massive civil disobedience. There's two things. There's you either have a revolution, because the moment he tries that, the police force with the live bullets from every day talk about going to open up on him, and what's he going to do about the black folks laying out in the street with blood running out of their bodies? You think that then he's going to lose control, then he's going to run and call the president and say, send the troops in. You see?
Let me ask you a question. What if every Negro employee of the CTA picked one day in September to get sick? Wouldn't that tie up the city?
No, they'd get fired, they'd put white folks in their place.
From the Catholic Interracial Council. I'm also a Democrat, and about 1,000 years ago, there was a Greek philosopher who said that those who do injustice are more harmed than those who receive injustice. And anybody who marched into those white neighborhoods last fall would know from the looks of the hatred and the fear on the white people's faces that they have been more harmed by the way they have treated the Negro race than the Negroes, as badly as they have been harmed, have been treated. And I think that the white race in this country needs this revolution even more than the Negro race needs it.
Well, go right ahead, ma'am, yes.
My name is Mrs. Elmer Lazar, and my husband and I are 100% for the Negro. I want to state that. In fact, when people say, would you like to have a Negro live next door to you, I said he has a perfect right to.
Do you have a Negro next door to you?
No, not yet, but I mean, I would really not mind it.
Yes, good.
However, and I am for the Negro, I want to see him get ahead, but now in regard to what this gentleman said, where is this Negro going to purchase his needs, get his needs? All right, fine. All right, I want to address another remark to Mr. Meek. Many of my friends have been for the Negro, but ever since this violence started, they have turned against him. How do you go about not alienating the white man who has been for you
We don't
through
care.
violence?
We don't care. For 400 years, they have murdered, burned, raped, castrated, and tortured. I give less than a hootenanny what any white person thinks about this black man is.
Well, but don't you want us to be with
I
you?
don't want you to do anything but leave us alone.
We don't need you. But I mean moral support. I don't mean do anything for you, but
work in your own neighborhood with the white people. They need the morality. We don't.
Stood up for the Negro, and now they say, well, now when they resort to violence, we are not
resorts
with
to
them.
violence?
Well, I mean in some of these riot areas.
Well, riot areas. You talk about we resort to violence when I talked to a reporter for Newsweek who told of National Guardsmen shooting down people in the back. Understand? As they're walking down the street minding their business, shooting in the caliber machine guns.
Yes,
now wait a minute, listen. You said about violence. Yeah, I get sick in my stomach when I hear a white person talk about violence. You're the most violent people in the world. You are born on it, you live on it, you're sick with it. You're saturated with it. We have been the most peaceable, law-abiding fools the world has ever seen.
Well, perhaps our media of communication is misinterpreted then.
Of course it is. We don't want you to love us. We don't love you.
Then we are not being represented. You are not being represented properly through the press.
The heck with the press.
Right here and now, the tragedy.
Nobody loves a rap press, baby. Believe it. But they won't report it truthfully.
Well, perhaps that's it.
They won't show that all the black folks were shot above the shoulders.
Well, Mr. Meek, here is a lady who is obviously a liberal and wants to help you.
I never heard of a liberal.
Do you call yourself a liberal?
Yes, I do, yes.
This is a dilemma
I
that
mean,
a lot of
I'm
people
kind
have.
feeling toward all people, the Negroes, everybody.
But the
I mean, there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
She's paternalistic.
And there's no white liberals, there are only black leaders.
You know, show me, we want some white John Brown.
That's
right. All the white John Browns stand up in here. All the white John Browns, they're going to die with us. All the white John Browns are now standing up. That's good.
There are many people who, when they look at a Negro, look at him with disdain and disgust.
We don't care.
We don't care.
When our babies die, as Mr. Lucas just talked about black babies starving to death, and you talk about looking at us with disdain and disgust while you barbarian murderers? How can you sit and talk with them?
This is not all right, man.
Well, that's your problem. I'm not going to go around with a meter asking you what kind of white person you are.
There
How about
isn't
this
one
lady here?
person in this room that is an American. Not one person. We all have ancestors from all over the world. We have come here. This is the greatest country in the world. It is.
For who?
It is for
Yeah, for
every
who?
single person that's in it. Every college student.
Tell them, baby.
You think you've been mistreated? Look how the Indians were mistreated
greatest
that were
country in the
here in
world.
the beginning.
This is the country of
We're all part of each other. And as we become true Americans, this is true America. We will all be one.
The problem here is we're all off on a tangent. The problem here is not who loves who and who hates who. That is irrelevant. Lady, with all due respect to you, if your daughter wanted to marry a gorilla, that's her business. That's
And
not
you
the
may
problem.
marry a white man in the next few months. You
No,
don't know who
I've
you're
been
going to fall in love with.
no, I've been
God
integrated.
controls
I've been
this.
integrated all I need to be integrated. I've got
You don't
these freckles
know.
and these
No
red
one
hair
knows
as a
what's
result
gonna
of the rape that took place on my great grandmother in Mississippi.
Yes,
I don't want any more
60,
integration.
These young boys. No, they don't care what
I don't need it.
Years
I don't need
ago,
it.
they
The
are
next
only
man I
interested in
marry
what
will be
happens
black
now.
so I can bring some
They
little
go
black
to
babies
school
in the
with
world.
Negro
No, lady,
girls,
sit down.
and
I
they
want
will
that.
bring not black
I
children
don't
into
want a
the world,
white man
but
to
true
rape me.
Americans. He's not going to rape you. He's going to marry you. You are going to be his honored wife. This is America.
That's the problem with white America today. Sex is on your mind.
We are a
Sex is what is destroying white America,
No,
lady.
that's what you
You have talked since you come on this program about your lovely daughter marrying this other man.
Wait a minute.
Sex is not the problem. Economics, politics, culture.
This is what made America. They came from
Lady,
every
I
nation.
don't
One at a time, folks, please. Just finish yourself up. What would you like to say? Go
The
ahead.
Salvation Army has met votes of every immigrant, every country of the world. They have given the money to start out here in this country to help themselves become better, because this is a free country.
All right, fine. Now, what would you say to that? You wanted to respond?
I just
Finish up.
want
Sum
to
up, please.
respond
Go ahead.
and say this, that integration isn't the problem. The problem is how the Negro can become a man.
Right.
So long the black man has been emasculated. Now he wants to become a man, just as you. The black woman wants to be a woman on her own 2 feet, not because she's sexually attracted to a white man. Now, what CORE has said, and what I want, and I think what all black people want, is to have the equality that the Constitution says all men have.
Gentleman in the back row.
My name is Russell Davis. I'm a student of political science. This afternoon, Mr. Meeks has said that he's not afraid of alienating white America. The young lady from Winnetka has stated that she saw during the marches which she participated in people who were full of fear and hatred. Mr. Lucas has said that the American Negro is either going to be free or he's going to be dead. My question is this: if the violence continues, aren't you, Mr. Meeks, and you, Mr. Lucas, afraid that it's going to be the second alternative?
Can I answer that?
Mr. Meeks, quickly.
Yeah, let me answer this gentleman. You know, it's very hard to say what you want to say when, after you've said it, somebody gets some answer like you haven't been talking. But you know what, young white fellow? I got a son in the 101st Airborne that you're going to kill, probably, because he's going to Vietnam. I got a nephew just came back from Korea that was wounded 3 times. The first thing happened, he went home, but a cop beat the hell out of him with a pistol butt. Now, you get this straight. You can kill all the black folks you want to, baby, but you will not kill the freedom of black folks. It's coming. We're going to get it. You think you're so indestructible. You think you're so great because you got all these weapons. I remember Mao Zedong once said he wondered where he'd get his weapons from, and then we armed Chiang Kai-shek. And he said, "Thank you, Jesus." You see? So don't misunderstand us, baby. We're dead serious. This country was founded on revolution. Those little settlers out there in the northeast section of this country had some muskets and some sticks and some stones. And they whipped the mighty professional British Army, baby. And 5,000 of them were black, and one black woman disguised herself as a man and fought with you all. And we don't have our freedom yet. We fought in every one of your damn lousy wars, baby, and you give us nothing. Now the war is going to be here because we're going to be free. Now you kill all you want to, but we kill too. And we don't frighten. We don't frighten at all.
That belief came from somewhere real. They survived segregation, lynching, humiliation, legal apartheid. They had already seen progress happen slowly, so to them, nonviolence was discipline, it was survival. But the younger voices were looking around and seeing something different. They saw Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated. They saw police beating protesters on television. They saw black neighborhoods over-policed but underprotected. They saw schools collapsing, jobs disappearing, landlords exploiting families, and politicians showing up only when cameras arrived. When people asked them to stay peaceful, many heard something else entirely. Stay obedient. That is the emotional center of that conversation. Russell Meeks and others were not talking like men excited about violence. They were talking like people tired of begging to be treated like human beings. There is a difference, a huge difference. And America has always struggled to understand that difference because it is easier to label anger as dangerous than to examine what created it. That belief came from somewhere real. They survived segregation, lynching, humiliation, legal apartheid. They had already seen progress happen slowly, so to them, nonviolence was discipline, it was survival. But the younger voices were looking around and seeing something different. They saw Martin Luther King Jr. assassinated. They saw police beating protesters on television. They saw black neighborhoods over-policed but underprotected. They saw schools collapsing, jobs disappearing, landlords exploiting families, and politicians showing up only when cameras arrived. When people asked them to stay peaceful, many heard something else entirely. Stay obedient. That is the emotional center of that conversation. Russell Meeks and others were not talking like men excited about violence. They were talking like people tired of begging to be treated like human beings. There is a difference, a huge difference. And America has always struggled to understand that difference because it is easier to label anger as dangerous than to examine what created it. That discussion matters today because the same emotional frustration still exists. Black Americans are still fighting battles that were supposed to be settled generations ago. Not slavery, not legal segregation, but the structures built from those eras never fully disappeared. They adapted. People love pretending history works like a movie ending. Civil Rights Act passes. Racism defeated. Everybody goes home happy. That is fantasy. The wealth gap is still massive. Schools are still heavily divided by zip code and income. Black communities are still disproportionately targeted in policing. Voting rights are still constantly challenged. Black families still have to work twice as hard for stability that can disappear in one medical emergencies, one layoff, one bad encounter with the justice system. And every few years, America acts shocked when another protest explodes. But frustration does not come out of nowhere. When generations keep hearing wait, eventually somebody says no. That is why these conversations still matter now, because silence helps everybody except the people suffering. And because every generation of Black Americans has been told their demands were too aggressive, too emotional, too impatient, or bad timing. In the 1960s, they were told protests were too disruptive. Today, athletes kneel peacefully, and people still get angry. People march peacefully and get called dangerous. People speak about racism calmly and still get accused of dividing the country. So the real issue is never just the method. The issue is that America becomes uncomfortable whenever Black Americans speak honestly about power, inequality, and race without softening it for white comfort. That Chicago conversation exposed something important. Nonviolence alone cannot survive if people believe the system only responds to pressure. That does not mean violence is the answer. Pretending anger has no cause is dishonest. Communities do not become militant in a vacuum. That mindset grows when people feel ignored for decades. And honestly, this is why some younger Black Americans today feel disconnected from old civil rights language. They grew up hearing that equality already happened. Then they entered reality and saw huge racial wealth gaps, unequal schools, harsher policing, and endless political fights over basic history and voting access. Naturally, they ask, if the fight was won, why are we still fighting? That question is not radical, it is logical. The most powerful thing about that 1968 footage is that nobody sounds polished. They sound exhausted, angry, frustrated, defensive, hurt, human. That is what makes it real. It was America hearing Black frustration without the usual filters. And 58 years later, the country is still struggling with the same problem. America loves Black culture, Black music, Black entertainment, Black influence, but still resists deep conversations about Black inequality when those conversations demand actual structural change. People celebrate the dream. They avoid the debt. That is why these conversations cannot stop, because rights on paper and rights in daily life are not always the same thing. History did not end in 1968. And because every time America tells Black people to stop talking about race while the inequalities remain visible in housing, wealth, policing, healthcare, and education, it proves the conversation was never really finished in the first place.